Welcome, language learners from all around the globe, to Listen Up, the podcast that takes you on a captivating voyage through the English language. Whether you've just started your journey or have been navigating the intricacies of English for some time, this podcast is designed to be your trusty compass, guiding you towards fluency and unlocking the wonders of English. I'm your host, Karen, a passionate traveller and an experienced teacher of English as a second language. Join me as we embark on an exciting expedition filled with British history read by a native speaker. Together, we'll conquer the challenges and celebrate the victories of learning English as a foreign language. Each episode of Listen Up will immerse you in a variety of topics, from aspects of British culture, history, and literature. We'll explore useful vocabulary that will empower you to communicate confidently in English. If you want to read along with the podcast, head to my website www.onepawinthesand.com/ESL. The link is in the description. But this podcast isn't just about learning English in isolation. It's about building a community of language learners, supporting one another, and fostering a love of the English language. I encourage you to engage with us through my Patreon page, where you can connect with fellow learners, ask questions, and share your own language journey. So, whether you're sipping tea in Tokyo, walking the streets in Sao Paulo, or studying in a bustling cafe in Berlin, Listen Up is here to accompany you on your quest for English fluency. Join me as we embark on this transformative expedition, where language becomes an adventure and your dreams of effective communication become a reality. Today's episode is called First Drunk Driver. Long ago in London, there was a cab driver named George Smith. He brought something important to Britain without even knowing it. He was the first person to get into trouble for driving after drinking too much. Back then, in the early 1900s, the streets of London were very different. There were no cars like we have today. Instead, people used horse-drawn cabs, rode bicycles, or walked. Cars were rare and new. On this day, 10th of September 1897, George Smith was driving his cab in London. He was not drunk from drinking a lot of alcohol, like we might think today. Instead, he had drunk something called ethanol, which is found in alcoholic drinks. A police officer noticed that George was not driving correctly. He thought George might be drunk, so he decided to stop him. The officer used his judgment and arrested George for drunk driving. This arrest started something important. George Smith's trial, where they decide if he did something wrong, took place in a special court in London. It was serious because it was the first time someone was put on trial for driving drunk. Many people were curious about what would happen. In court, some people said that George was not able to drive safely because he had been drinking ethanol. Others said he was not really drunk and had only taken a little alcohol as a medicine. After thinking carefully, the court said that George Smith was guilty of drunk driving. They made him pay a fine of £1, which was a lot of money back then. This decision was important because it showed that society would not allow people to drive when they had been drinking. Even though the fine was not big by today's standards, it sent a strong message. It made people realise that driving after drinking alcohol was dangerous, and it started the process of making laws and rules to keep roads safe. George Smith's case in 1897 changed views. It made people think about how to stop drunk driving and make roads safer. It's a reminder that we should always drive responsibly and not drink and drive. The legacy of George Smith lives on in our efforts to keep our streets safe from the dangers of drunk driving. And that wraps up another episode of Listen Up. I hope you enjoyed learning about my topic today and practicing your English. Remember, the exploration doesn't have to end here. If you have any lingering questions or want to continue the conversation, I've got some great opportunities for you. First off, I offer private lessons for those of you eager to expand your knowledge further, whether it's practicing today's subject or exploring other topics. I'm here to guide you on your English journey. Reach out to me through my website or social media platforms, and let's embark on a personalised learning experience together. I have been involved with training people for more than 10 years. I've been teaching English as a second language for over a year, in which time I have taught over 500 students, many of whom are regulars. But wait, there's more. If you're a devoted fan of Listen Up and want to show your support, consider joining our Patreon community. Your contribution directly helps us bring you more episodes and maintain the quality of our show. Your support truly means the world to me, and we couldn't continue this podcast without you. So whether you choose private lessons or Patreon, or both, I look forward to staying connected and exploring the fascinating realms of English as a second language together. Thank you once again for joining us on Listen Up. Until next time, keep practicing.